I'm here with Jamie, and we are getting out of the Exploring Learning Technologies meeting that was about social media and education. And she was highlighting some things that we can do to promote social media use in education. What are some things that you do while training?
Well, we do a lot of one-on-one coaching for our educators and faculty for OSU Extension. I direct the EdTech unit for OSU Extension here at Ohio State. So we do a lot of one-on-one training and coaching to help people through the process. Sometimes there's a lot of follow-up through that, but really they just need to know where to go, what tools to use. So to reach this audience, maybe you should be using Facebook. If you want to reach this audience, maybe you should be blogging and then sharing it on Twitter. So a lot of strategy information along those lines.
Not to interrupt, but you did mention that you had started to do workshops, but those didn't seem to be as effective as the one-on-one. Could you explain a little bit why?
Yeah, so the workshops that we had people come to in the past, we would have about 30 or 40 people attend, and it was really difficult to meet two different groups of people that we would have show up during the workshop. So we would have early adopters or middle-of-the-road adopters with technology adoption, and they were really hungry for content curation, how to use content in different places, so replicate without having to reinvent posts and things like that. And then also we'd have our late adopters who would need a lot more step-by-step one-on-one instruction. So we've done away with that format with the workshops, and now we have two different groups of people that we work with on two different levels of need and skill. And so we try to work with the early adopters to do certain things like strategy, content curation, and then also the late adopters, we do more one-on-one counseling with them and coaching, and it has worked really well so far. But we try to get around the state and do these things in multiple areas of the state because we have people located in every single county in Ohio.
And you mentioned that one of the tips that you gave academics, for example, if they're not getting an effective impact, for example, using social media, that they needed to learn how to communicate online. How were they not communicating well enough to their audiences?
Well, using academic jargon is one area that we always have to improve and work on. So, writing for a scholarly publication is much different than writing for an online audience. So, trying to get it more down to earth and short and brief, and putting things in phrases and words and terms that people can understand. So instead of using, like, if we're talking about mad cow disease, instead of using the bovine yada yada academic term, you're using mad cow disease. That's one way to make sure you're reaching an audience and you're talking in their language. Also using hashtags that are out there that exist that they should be using is really important. That's something that we also try to talk about when we discuss communication. But at the Force 11 conference, there was a really great keynote, and the whole topic was on how do we explain things to people that have no clue about what we do. So thinking in terms of, if you're speaking to people that have no idea what your background is and don't know everything that you know about your discipline, how do you rephrase that and discuss it and communicate in a way that they can understand actually what you're talking about.
And I remember you mentioning also the great barriers of social media use in academia. Could you talk about that? And I liked how Mitch had the graphic of administrative priorities and audience needs, and we have to find that middle ground, right?
Yeah.
But you also mentioned some administrative, well, not administrative, but I'll let you talk.
So the biggest barriers in my experience, I've been working extension and for Ohio State since 2008, and the biggest barriers to getting people online and using social media has been getting their supervisors on board and administration on board, and explaining to them the benefits and the ROI. What's the return on investment for getting people online and using things online. And then also the promotion and tenure process is very difficult and cumbersome to get through if you're doing a lot of your work online. It's not seen as scholarly, it's not seen as academic, and so working with promotion and tenure committees has been something I've been trying to do with our College of Food and Ag and also in OSU Extension, to revamp our policies and process for how people can report what they're doing online and report their creation and use of digital content and materials. So they need to be able to get credit for that in order to actually do it. Our time is precious in academia, and so if you're you're not going to get much credit for being online and using social media, then your time's going to be spent elsewhere. It's going to be spent creating journal articles and fact sheets and things that you actually get credit for. So getting the promotion and tenure process updated is critical to allowing people to feel like, okay, I can actually spend a lot of time and effort into my social media strategy.
And you mentioned part of that process is actually coming up with the metrics to measure like the impact that they're having and as part of that PNT process. And I also like what Mitch said about how, getting administrators on board not only means giving you support, but actually getting involved in social media itself. You mentioned the provost,
Yep.
he tweets now,
Yep.
and so leading by example, right?
Yeah. So metrics are important, but we don't want people to be spending all their time
Right.
trying to collect data either. But it also does help show, look how many more people I can reach, here versus just putting out a fact sheet that I have no clue who's going to read it, or a journal article. Maybe it'll get a couple citations, but and a couple reads, but we don't know. So having the data behind it to show how many people you're engaging with, like people that like, comment, share, repost, whatever, really can help show that you've got some interaction with people online and you're reaching different audiences, or the same audience just in a different space.
Okay, thank you so much, Jamie, for sharing these tips.
Thanks.
It was nice meeting you too.
Happy to.